And we are live, guys. Bitcoin ETFs will start trading in about 10 minutes. I do have COVID, actually. See if we can show that. But I found this meme. Coronavirus, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't have the pronunciation, but you get the point. So I usually don't do live streams. I prefer to, think first, condense what I want to say, and then say it. But I feel that usually that becomes more respectful of your time that way. But no rule without exceptions. And today I feel that that's one of those days where exact real time is required. Let me check that we are actually live. That it's rolling. Yes, it's working. It's great. So please ask questions and let's have this a little bit interactive. And I do hope that I have the right timing. After all, I'm an engineer, not a TradFi guy, but I think this is the one. 7 minutes to go. So let's, pump or dump. Should we sell? Crashing coming. Glad to share this moment with you. Thanks everyone for being here. And I'm pretty excited actually what's going to happen, because I think that either way, I phrase it like this. I feel that this can go two ways, and either way is actually really exciting. So I did make a more extensive video where I covered two scenarios a couple of days ago, and that hasn't changed. But there are a few new things to observe. If we go on very short time frames, of course, shorter time frames are less reliable than longer time frames, but this is an inverse head and shoulders pattern on short time frames. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, breakout. So, of course, that is very positive going into the trading start. So at least there is not a massive amount of dumping going into the trading start. And that's, of course, very positive. So let's see what are the comments. I thought the SEC Twitter page was hacked. It was hacked the first day, 2 days ago. It was fake news. The approval was 100% fake. So that was this candle here on Tuesday. So I tweeted that the Market Manipulation Award of 2024 goes to the SEC. And it actually moved price, like 10%. It was up at 48,000 almost, and as low at 44,700 in the same, I think it was 5-10 minutes only. We can step to even shorter candles here. And you can see what really happened, that when the news went out, the fake news went out, it did pump. I said in the last video that I think that on the announcement news, it will pump, and it did. The only problem was that it was fake. It wasn't real. And it wasn't some elaborate hack. Turns out that the SEC didn't have two-factor authentication on their X account or their Twitter account. So then when that became apparent, it dumped really heavily in the next 10-15 minutes later. And then when it actually was approved yesterday, the mood wasn't really there in the same way. And it didn't pump in the same immediate way like it did on the fake news. But if we go back now to the current status, maybe I step back to 1 hour candles. And how long do we have left? We have 4 minutes left. Make sure I can see your comments also. And even on tech, Gary hacked it. Exactly. Maybe he wanted to get in on some nice trades, so he hacked himself. That is absolutely possible. So 3 minutes and 48 seconds. Why be careful, someone asked. Yes, that is a great question. Now I can't see the comment anymore, but that's a great question. Thanks for asking that, because sometimes it becomes buy the rumor, sell the news. So that people have anticipated something a very long time, then when it actually happens, not that much happens. So what could happen today is that there's some initial excitement, some money comes in, but not billions and billions, and price doesn't really run up. And then the market participants who have been anticipating this for, 10 years, start feeling like, now what? What's going to happen? This was the big thing. Now there's nothing left. And then market could shift into the next thing, which could be, I don't know, Ethereum ETF in the future or something like that. But right now, we don't really see that. This is a very bullish pattern, and the trend is up. And I thought to mention one other thing that I'm very happy about, and I hope you are happy also, because we actually nailed the support levels. I talked about this in previous streams. These horizontal lines here are not new. We've had them for a long time. And this dump to support happened on the dollar, I think, to our support level. And yesterday, we actually nailed that support level also down to a couple of dollars, a couple of tens of dollars. So hope you were happy about that. We got those exactly right. So if someone was looking to get in at support, you could get in at both those support levels. So happy to be able to offer you that. But now let's move our focus forward. Price continues to rise here. Step back to 1 hour candles, or should we step down? Maybe. Should we take the 1 minute candles, perhaps? We're having some questions here. I feel a good amount of people think there will be pulled back soon. When does it come? And what it looks now, it looks like there could be an immediate pump. Excuse me. And I think if there comes this what now feeling, that could be like tomorrow or in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. What's your expectation in the next 4 weeks? Yeah, so that would be what I would be looking out for if there is like a what now feeling setting in. How do you interpret that the spot ETF is up 25% in pre-market trading? Exactly, because there are a few products that's already trading. iShares Bitcoin Trust is sharing in the pre-market, meaning before the market opens, and that is up 27%. So that's, of course, a very positive sign. Excuse me. And how can you talk and type at the same time? It's amazing, isn't it? I don't do it very well, though. I make a lot of pauses and so on, but I do my best. Then we had another question. Where did it go? We are waiting for a new rap song, maybe one about ETF. Yeah, definitely has to happen. But let's see now. We are getting very close to trading start, and I'm not sure if this will be exactly real time, but at least the Bitcoin chart is real time. And here we go. So, this is it, I guess. I don't know if the other assets are exactly real time or if there is a delay. Oh, here they are actually. There turns out that I have actually real-time access. So iShares Bitcoin Trust on the 1 minute candle. Here we have VanEck Bitcoin Trust. It's moving as well. Crazy first 1 minute candle. I don't think it means anything. It's just where it starts listing and what happens next. I guess is what will matter. Same here. Not sure this really matters. How does this compare with the pre-market? Did this one disappear or what happened here? Okay, maybe it restart when it actually starts trading. So we see the same thing here. And what happened with, we put this on the red list. Let's see what Bitcoin is doing. Not much is happening. Oh, it's dumping a little bit. Not much though. This is 1 minute candle. And let's see. Let's take some more questions. Did you see Gary's comments in court yesterday about meme coins on Solana? Actually, I did not see that one particularly. What was that about? Big pump incoming. Let's see. BTC proxy stocks are pumping. Okay, good. I have an echo. Do you hear an echo, everyone? Right. Let's see. Okay, that was fake video. Someone said. That's why I didn't see it, maybe. Exactly. Always some echo. Even writing here. All right. Ivan also clarified that. Not real meme, Gary. Let's see. Can we not get this one bigger like this? Maybe you can see it better. This is too small, perhaps. All right. So what's happening here? Price is not doing much so far. Could be a bit early. I think worth noting also is that the CPI came in a little bit higher than expected, which could put pressure on different assets. That was probably here, which spiked the interest a little bit. But since then, it actually came down. So perhaps didn't have much impact. Stocks, what are they doing? Dumped on that CPI news, but it has almost recovered. So probably no news from that perspective. That could otherwise also have had a big impact. Otherwise, okay, what's happening? Not so much, not so much. I think that if we zoom out then, look at the little bigger picture. The reason I was talking about those support levels, why was that? Well, it's because we're in uptrend. In an uptrend, I'm looking for support because those are new entry opportunities. Support levels means that that's a point where it should hold in an uptrend. And if it doesn't hold, you have an invalidation, meaning that you can cut that particular entry. You could still keep the entries that many of you got because you were following along here in the beginning of the year at 17,000 or 21,000. Those you can still keep, but if you're looking for new entries in BTC, that's typically at support levels. So then you can try to enter there, and then if it holds, you got in, you risked almost nothing on the downside. While if it doesn't hold, you can cut that and try again, instead of risking to buy high up, late in the price move, late in the trend, and then start holding on the way down. And then you don't know if it's just a dip or if you risk a lot of your capital. So if we zoom out here, we're looking at a very healthy chart. Very, very, very healthy chart. Since the beginning here, this was a flag, a positive construction. And since we got this inverse head and shoulder in late summer of the year, each of these resistance levels have turned into support. And that's what I said in the previous videos also, that this resistance, I think, will turn into support. And that's exactly what it did. So this is very healthy. This looks great here. There is no reason from a technical analysis perspective to suspect that this is reversing here. That would just be guessing. This looks as good as it gets. So I don't think there's a reason to panic sell looking at the TA alone. Not at all. So let's go down, look again at the 1 minute candle. Oh, now it looks better, actually. It has recovered quite a lot. There is some buy volume coming in. I actually don't know how this works technically. What happens if people are buying these Vanek Bitcoin Trust here? How long does it take them to go out and buy some more Bitcoin? I don't know how it works. If someone knows, please share in the comments. But I'm guessing there could be a delay, perhaps. I mean, or is it automated? Do they buy it immediately? I don't know how it works. Happy to learn more about ETFs. I'm an engineer. It's never good to panic sell. That is true. I guess never meant. Can we see the inflows into the funds? That's a very good question, actually. Where can we see that somewhere real time? Anyone knows? Welcome to share. Breakout. Exactly. Should we be worried about the CPI number? I was a little bit worried, but it looks like it didn't have any impact on the 2-year yield or the stock market. So perhaps it didn't matter. Or the ETFs backed 1-to-1. Hope is helping me find the great questions here. Yes, it is. There it is. There it is. I thought to bring it up. Yes, they are. So I wasn't sure about that. I wasn't sure if it was allowed for them to have some other construction, to have some leverage or something more risky. But no, I have learned that they are actually backed spot 1-to-1. So if someone buys this ETF, these guys will go out and buy actual Bitcoin on the market, which then will be custodied by a custodian, for example, Coinbase. But you actually own a share of those Bitcoin corresponding to your ETF share. So even if someone decides to gamble away the money like SPF or many of the others did, this is different from the from those exchanges, from what I have read. So it should be SPF proof, as one person wrote on Twitter. And one reason I thought to bring this up also, see if you guys can read this or if the text is too small. This guy, Patrick Hansen, is a very useful person to follow. And he notes here that the reason that people are so focused on this, while in Europe we've had very similar products, different ETP products for many years, is this volume. Bloomberg expects an inflow of 4 billion the first day of trading. For comparison, the 10 largest Bitcoin ETPs in Europe have a combined size of 2.5 billion euro. Most of them have been trading for years. So that is why this is so interesting. It's also interesting because the fees are so low, much lower than the fees have been in Europe, which is of course great for consumers. And it also means that these can start fulfilling a role of being more of an exchange, which is actually how I personally have used these European ETPs for years. And I think it's great. It has some disadvantages about trading hours and so on and so forth, but it does have a lot of advantages also, especially in terms of physical securities in some pretty public. And it also, in many jurisdictions, enable different tax constructions, where it is different if you have an ETF or ETP versus if you have physical crypto. So for me, the advantages have been bigger than the disadvantages. That could be different for different people, of course. My eyes, please, dark view. Yeah, that's a constant debate. All right. Let's see. Will they actually buy Bitcoin or just pretend like gold and silver? They will actually buy Bitcoin. So actually Bitcoin will be bought on the market. And a year ago or something, I actually interviewed a guy in Singapore who has a product where you can buy real gold or real silver that's kept in a vault. That's yours. What I think is not covered, though, is what happens if there is a hack. What happens if the Bitcoin go missing, which is maybe more clear in the case of gold, either there is a break-in or not. But what happens if Coinbase gets hacked, who are custodying a lot of these products, Bitcoins? What happens if they get hacked and suddenly 100 billion of dollars are missing? Who's going to cover that? I don't know. Where would that come from? So I hope that doesn't happen. Guess it's the same with the gold. If the gold gets missing, that's a problem if it's discovered. Let's bring up some more comments while we're waiting. Oh, it's breaking out here actually. 48,500. This is looking good. This is looking good. Inverse head and shoulders playing out. Also look how much volume it was changing here. Now there's very little volume happening here, at least here on Coinbase. See how easy it moves up. Almost no sellers. This means that there's very few sellers here right now. I'm sure a lot of people have identified this inverse head and shoulders pattern, and who's going to sell them right after the breakout? Confirmation of this pattern. In an uptrend. Clear uptrend. Resistance has just been proven support. Touchdown almost on the dollar. Short-term inverse head and shoulders. Massive positive news. Who's going to sell exactly that? I think that if there is a retracement, if I were to speculate into scenarios, as you know, I don't really predict. I prefer to react, but I like to prepare myself with scenarios. So what could be scenarios from here? I covered it in the video a couple of days ago, but like I said, I think that at the approval, it seems like there should be reasonably some pump, and it is happening now. How high will it go? I have no idea. No idea. It doesn't really matter. But what could happen then after some time at some level, and I don't know if it will be all the way up here at this resistance at 65K, if it will be near where we are now or somewhere in the middle. But things stop happening. The news have faded out. It's already happening. Money came in the first day, but less the second day and less the third day, and 2 weeks in, it feels like not much is happening anymore. And it feels like now what? And then market could start shifting to other things. Maybe Ethereum, maybe altcoins, Solana, some other narrative. And this could start retracing. I'm not predicting it will happen. I'm just saying that it could be a scenario. So if we start preparing for that now, if it happens, instead of panicking, have already thought out what you're going to do if it happens. So if that happens, it retraces to this support or even this support. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying don't exclude the possibility. So you're prepared if it happens. If that happens, if you get here and it holds, it gets here and it holds, I think those will be the best entry opportunities all year, 2024. And the good thing is that if it happens at support, there is an invalidation. You don't need to hold it if it continues down for whatever reason. So that is a scenario. And then I think that as a result of these ETFs, I do think there will be bigger inflows. I subscribe 100% on this notion that ETFs will enable larger money. It will enable a lot of marketing by trusted financial institutions and their associates, or the big banks. They will suddenly start marketing Bitcoin instead of being against Bitcoin, because now they have a share in that business. And then I think we will go higher. I do think we will break all-time high. I absolutely 100% think that this will be the next big phase in digital assets in the trust of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and digital assets in general. So I do think that whatever happens here, I do think we will eventually break all-time high and go much higher. Absolutely, I think so. The only question is if we get a dip to support first, even to this support, or if it's just a straight line up. I'm rooting for the dip. I hope so, because that will be another great entry opportunity, and I hope that will happen. Excuse me, I just have the COVID cough a little bit. So I hope that happens, but at the end of the day, I will just react. I will just enjoy whatever of those two scenarios happen. And my advice is to kind of try to think in those scenarios. And if that happens, if some other scenario happens, okay, then we take that one. But at least we can prepare. Can you show live price? Yes. Which one do you want to see? Here is iShares. Why is this one only showing one candle? I don't know. This one seems to be the most liquid one, and it seems to be going up. Bitcoin is also live price here. This is a 1 minute candles. Let me see some other. ETH breakout. Yeah, let's look at ETH. And let's start with the ETH to BTC, because ETH to BTC has been absolutely slaughtered. Oh wow, trading view is lagging. Took a long time to calculate this. ETH has been absolutely slaughtered the whole of 2023. And I always said that I feel that the bottom pattern could be building. Then it seemed like the support broke one time, then seemingly broke again, then seemingly broke even more. But I don't know, guys. I feel that this could still be a bottom formation building, even though it's ugly. But who knows? But that's still my interpretation. It feels like even though these pieces are sticking out, it feels like this could be a bottom rectangle building in the ETH to BTC chart. And the ETH to USD chart actually looks very good. Look how much trading view is lagging. It takes so long time to calculate. Larson line here usually goes instantly. And I always felt that this is not a wedge, but an ascending triangle. And I said it when it broke out. I felt that this actually looks very good. And so far, that has turned out true. Since Larson line gold flip here, this has moved up quite a lot now, and it has broken out. Regardless if we see this as a wedge or an ascending triangle, the wedge would be something like this. It's still a breakout. So at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. And it could absolutely be that if the Bitcoin narrative pauses, not today, it clearly doesn't pause today. This is very positive, very bullish. But if it pauses in a couple of days or a couple of weeks, the narrative could shift to the next one. And now that they have approved the one ETF, of course, it's easier to approve the next one. And I want to comment on something else, that in this statement that Gary Gensler wrote is very negative. He feels like angry that he has to approve it. But if you saw the vote, he actually voted yes. He was the deciding vote, because 2 Democrats voted no to the ETFs and 2 Republicans voted yes, from what I read on Twitter or X. And the deciding vote was actually Gary Gensler, and he voted yes. So for all the memes and everything that's been funny, he voted yes in that. So Gary Gensler, if you're listening, thank you very much on behalf of the world, because I think this is a good thing. It's time for the world to move to digital store of value from a mined store of value. over time. But in this comment, he kind of wrote that I was forced to, I had to, and so on and so forth. And he wrote that though we're merit neutral, I do note the underlying assets have in metal ETPs like gold and silver have consumer and industrial uses, while in contrast, Bitcoin is primarily a speculative, volatile assets that's also used for illicit activity, including ransomware, money laundering, sanction evasion, and terrorist financing, as if other forms of money is not. While we approve the listing and trading of certain spot Bitcoin ETP shares today, we did not approve or endorse Bitcoin. And he also did not open any doors for more ETPs in this comment. In fact, he specifically wrote ETPs holding one non-security commodity, Bitcoin. It should in no way signal the Commission's willingness to approve listing standards for crypto asset securities. But if you remember that meme that from Gary Gensler's presentation, was it in 2017 or 2018 or something, where he mentioned a couple of different cryptocurrencies. He did mention Ethereum there. But of course, he could wiggle out of that by saying that that's when it was proof of stake, not now when it was proof of work, not now when it's proof of stake. Anyway, I think it's interesting. It's looking good, guys. Looking good. Wow. So seems like the target of this inverse head and shoulder might be met soon if this continues. Would be somewhere here, maybe around 50,000. I saw someone asked, should we take profits at 50,000? First, I don't know what you should do because it depends on your situation, your entries, your risk strategy, your exposure in general. So I cannot say what anyone should do. But in my process, that is at least one process that has provably worked very well historically. That's not the profit-taking process. It's not a sell at target, at the price target from the patterns process. It's a trend following process. And in general, then since there's no resistance here and there's no top pattern, there's no trend change. If you're asking about how the process is defined, that would not be a sell trigger, even if the target of the inverse head and shoulder is met. But there are other processes where you do sell on target. So it depends on how you operate. Why do people care about BTCD? You can't even buy it. That's an excellent question. So let me cover that. Because I'm one of the people who do care about BTCD, Bitcoin dominance, even though you can't buy it. The reason is that sometimes it's been possible to spot alt season using this chart. Alt season is when money is flowing over from Bitcoin into altcoins, meaning that the market cap BTC dominance is dropping. And as you can see, for example, in this example here in early 2021, when it starts dropping, it drops like a stone. In just a couple of weeks or months, it drops enormously. Enormous value is flowing from, in BTC term at least, is flowing over into altcoins. And that has happened many times. That's been many of these where the drop has been very hard and very fast. And we're not really seeing that right now. There is no hard and fast drop. I thought so, actually. I thought this might be the beginning of that, but it didn't stick. It retraced and so on. But if this really starts dropping here, there could be that a couple of weeks after that, that drop will accelerate and the narrative shifts from Bitcoin over to altcoins. And then that is some of the best opportunities in this whole market. And it usually happens so fast. So if you're not awake, you're not tracking, you're not prepared before, you might miss it. That's why I like Bitcoin dominance. Can you show the Sol chart? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is another chart where, if you followed along here, we've been very lucky here in our community. We dodged basically the whole retracement. Then we identified this inverse head and shoulder and the large line gold flip down here at 20 something, and then prices run up. Right now on the USD chart, this could be a flag. This could be a continuation flag and not an end of the move. A little bit hard to say. A lot of people are asked, they missed this. They weren't following YouTube. They didn't have a process. They were asleep and they come now and ask, should I buy now? Very difficult to say. This isn't the entry. The entry was here. Here is where the inverse head and shoulders was. You had a clear invalidation. You could enter without downside risk. The problem with buying here, even if this is just in the middle of the uptrend, where will you put the invalidation? So you protect your capital. It would have to be something like this, that you determine in your interpretation that this is a flag, bull flag, that has now confirmed. And then if you find yourself below that, that would be the invalidation. But as you see then, the risk you're taking is pretty big. The downside risk is pretty big. That's why it's hard to get in later. You should instead learn from it, get better for next time. Try to be earlier in the trend shift next time. Bitcoin is moving. Looks great. Wow. Let's see if this continues here. Let's take some more questions. Sorry, how do I remove this one? Right. Sold pumped like crazy when it was not all season, because that's what good projects do. Yes, absolutely. So throughout the beginning of 2023, as many of you know, we had this, I don't want to make this into promoting anything, but I did build a tool that helped find the altcoins that turned into uptrend when almost all the coins were in a downtrend. And that made it very clear that there were a few projects that went against the trend, when basically 99% of everything was just looking garbage. Suddenly there came a few projects that turned into uptrend, like Solana, like Rune that someone else asks about here. Let's bring that one up as well, which turned gold in an ocean of blue, or ocean of red if you don't use these colors. Let's switch back to the daily candles, because that's what we're trending on. Oh, wow. There's so many people using TradingView now. I've never seen it this slow ever. And there, in the middle of 2023, we had this. This is an classical Adam and Eve pattern, which confirmed in a massive, look at the volume here. Massive volume. Massive volume. We saw that something was happening. Large line flipped gold, and it went into this uptrend, which looks very nice. But yeah, nothing runs forever. Here, this could be head and shoulders top in the Rune USD. But if it manages to climb above the right shoulder, would be here at 650. It would be a very strong positive signal, a stronger bull. If price passes the right shoulder, that's a stronger positive sign than the head and shoulder is a negative sign in the first place. And right now it's already above the neckline. And oh wow, it's so slow. And the BTC chart has retraced quite a bit, but is close to support there. Neither have turned into downtrend yet, but could argued that some profit taking here could actually be warranted, but not selling everything. All right. Someone's saying your chart isn't changing. That's weird. Did someone else experience that? Let me see here if I change back to room. I see it changed here on my own screen. Okay, your chart is fine. All right. Good. All right. While we're waiting, we should wait a little bit more. This has only been 30 minutes. What happens in the first 30 minutes might not be representative for where this is going. As you already see, if we move to 5-minute candles, it already looks a little bit different than the first couple of 5-minute candles. So while we wait, do you use the log settings? Yes. Log always. Logarithmic. Always on tech assets. Never anything else. Okay, it's retracing a little bit here. Let's wait another 5 minutes. And in the meantime, I thought to tell you a story related to this one. I don't know if I can get it to focus here without... Let me see. This one. I will tell the story. Mop is helping me to pick out some comments. In the meantime, let me answer a few questions first before I tell the story. Please look at, okay. I will not bring up too many other projects in this particular video because I want it to be a focused on Bitcoin. It looks like a pregnancy test. I have to disappoint you that I'm not pregnant. But I will tell you about my grandfather because he had one sick day in 40 years. And when I was a kid, he was still talking about that one day. That was very unfortunate that he actually had a sick day one day. And it was a stomach issue. Still remember, he talked about that one day he was home from work because he had a stomach issue. And there actually was a Swedish study that was called long-term healthy or långtidsfriska, if there's any Swedish person listening, as opposed to long-term sick, meaning långtidssjuka. Because one doctor realized that there has been so much research on people who are sick, but very little research on people who are healthy. And why is that? This was already from, I think, early 1990s. So this is a long time ago for some of you. And what do you think it is that set those people apart? Those who have no sick days in years. Do you think it's their diet? Do you think it's their exercise routines, their sleep routines maybe, or their relationship status? What's your guess? You can guess in the comments. What caused some people to not have a single sick day in years? Well, it was neither of those things that I exemplified. And it was also not a mix of those. And it was not, I don't know if I'm allowed to, if this video will get banned now, but it was not that either. It was not vitamin C. It was not diet and sleep. It was not movement. It was not an apple a day. Not all together. Not a lot of garlic on pizza. Not relationships. Not sugar. Not leaving carbs. No. And it was not this either. It was that they loved their job. And they broke that down and more specifically, actually. What was it that they loved? They loved the creative environment. They loved having goals that were clear and that they actually cared about. They loved the leadership. In the digital world of AI, leadership isn't going anywhere. And they felt that they could talk freely and felt, safe to challenge things and so on. That's what set them apart. So I'm not suggesting to go meet other people if you have COVID. I'm alone here now in this office. Office work is remote. And I'm not saying to not rest if you are sick. I'm not saying one of those things. But I am saying two things. I do think people in general have gotten a little bit weak. Toughen up a little. Think about my grandfather. That's the benchmark. And number two, which is maybe more relevant, if you hate your job, it's probably making you sick. Or at least research shows that there is another job out there that might cause you to have no sick days at all. And I did have a 10, I haven't broken my grandfather's record, but I did have a 10-year stretch where I didn't call in sick for a single day. And that was when I had a real job. Now, when I'm doing this, it doesn't feel like I have a job, even though I'm sitting here in an office. I feel like I'm playing all day. So I don't feel like I am going to work with COVID. I'm resting and having fun here in my own office where I can do whatever I want. So, if you've considered taking this a bit more seriously, I'm a living example that it can work. So that was my point with this story. Back to the ETF. How's it going? So it's retracing a bit. Doesn't have to mean anything. If people are planning to send it higher, they could dump it a little bit first. Overall, sorry to break it, but we won't be able to say conclusively tell how this is going to go even today. It's just that it's fun. It's a historic moment. It really is, because this is going to take Bitcoin from a very weird thing that some nerds or, some internet nerds are meddling with to something that's offered from the most trusted financial institutions in the world. And that's going to put the big banks into the value chain. And I think that will radically change their narrative around Bitcoin, because now they will earn money on it. So, of course, there's a lot of problems with Bitcoin. I'm not saying that, it's perfect. Far from it. In fact, that I have a lot of things to say about that, but I'm not going to cover it in this video. Today, we're only happy for Bitcoin. Everything is great. ETF lockdown, what does that mean? Everyone will need to get into crypto. Absolutely. I switched from a job I loved back to a job I hate to make more money to buy more crypto. That could enable you, hopefully, to go back to doing what you love. All right. What's your thoughts of the BTC left translates like what will happen to the alts in the next week? Yeah, that is a very interesting question. I think it really depends on what happens now with Bitcoin the next couple of days. If this momentum continues, then I think alts will be slaughtered against BTC. BTC will continue holding the narrative, and then I think this chart here will continue in this direction. But if that doesn't happen, if BTC stalls here after the big trading start and then not much happens, people want the next thing. And I think they will go for the altcoins. People are excited now. They've made money on Bitcoin. And then those money from liquid BTC can flow over into much less liquid altcoins that can pump a lot. So this is an important point in the market. We can see many altcoins moving up, even Cardano, Matic moving up, and a lot of other coins, of course. Right. Let's take a few more questions. Yeah, I think so too. I think pension funds and large institutions will come as a result of this. Absolutely. But I'm not sure it will come today. Will it come today or next week, or will they need to have a board meeting or whatever meetings they're having to discuss these kind of strategy changes? Should they introduce a new asset class like digital assets or not? Maybe that's a big question. Maybe it takes time to discuss that. What's your take on the inscriptions on BTC? Yeah, this is a little bit what I was alluding to later. It's such a big topic, and I'm going to make a specific video on this whole thing. So I pass on that one, but I do have some strong opinions here. I'm looking for and going back to a shit job in order to make more money and later even make more money, even more money with crypto. Yeah. Do you think there will be further crackdowns on off ramps forcing the public to use ETFs to access BTC? For example, Coinbase lawsuits. Yes, I think that can happen. There is enormous reluctance among many banks to offer this. And to some extent, I can understand it because they are dealing with a lot of fraud, a lot of actual fraud. Like I get fraud attempts every single day on my phone and 20 in the email inbox. I don't fall for it, but many of these scam attempts work. They call perhaps someone less savvy and they've optimized what to say. So they managed to trick enough people to go to their bank and they think that they're doing a great Bitcoin investment and they're sending their money out. The problem is that they're not sending it to Coinbase. They're not sending it to Binance or some of a real exchange. They're sending it to, bit this and that dot something. And that company doesn't exist. They just send it straight out down the toilet. And then the banks have to deal with that and so on. So they are then very worried. And so they try to be reluctant. But I think that now the banks have at least an alternative. They will say that, yeah, but why don't you use the ETFs instead? At least as a starting point. And I think for many beginner investors, it's a great solution. And frankly, many people who cannot keep track of their passwords and so on, they shouldn't handle their own crypto. I see so many stories, people who can barely use a computer, they cannot use their email and, manage their email password. And should they really do self-custody and of a lot of different altcoins? I'm not so sure. it's going to be hard to stop Coinbase off-ramps when they are the main custodian. So, I mean, for savvy people, there will be a lot of on and off ramps. I'm talking here about some maybe less sophisticated average consumer might find it hard, even harder than today, to even get onto crypto. People get scammed like this in Czech all the time. It's happening in all the countries, in the US, in UK, and Sweden, everywhere. At what levels are you looking to start selling BTC? Yeah, I mean, look, I trust my process 100%. So I don't have a level. That's the whole idea with a reactive trend following process. Because in technology, usually the outcomes are more extreme than even the wildest person can imagine. So that's my answer. That's my answer. Then, and now I'm talking from a process, from a pure process perspective. What is the process? How does the process work? So even if price is reaching a resistance or something, I don't have that in as part of the process. But if there is a trend shift at whatever level it happens, then it's a different thing. I know someone got scammed by being sent USDT, but not a stable coin, but NFTs that look the same exactly. So anyone can make a new token called USDT, and you somehow manage to get the person to mix it up. What's your take on the ETH BTC revival? Yeah, it's basically what I covered earlier in the stream, that I do see the possibility that a bottom pattern is building right here. So I don't want to sell BTC ever, but how do I borrow against it in the future? Yeah, I mean, you can. There's a lot of solutions to do that, including decentralized ones. So to kind of increase leverage. Another way is to simply use leverage. That's another way to do it. How much percentage of cash should one still have out of the market preparing for another dip? I personally have 16%. That's a very complex question because it depends on your whole portfolio, but it is often advantageous to not be 100% in, because suddenly something unexpected happens and you can't take advantage of it if you are 100% out. Also, like I said, that even if this continues in a straight line up, there is no pullback here on BTC. There is no dip. We just assume, for the matter of speaking, this goes in exactly straight line. Sorry, I can't draw. I tried to do it straight. It goes in exactly straight line. There is no pullback at all. And you sit with some money on the side. Then you feel, oh, that's so dumb. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, but at some point, this is going to flatten out. It could flatten out here, or it could go here, flatten out here, it goes a little higher, flattens out, or it even backs up a little bit and flattens out. And when this flattens out, that's the point where you should switch down to Bitcoin dominance and start looking for signs that this one starts looking like this. This perhaps. Because if it does, there's a good chance that this goes all the way. And a lot of money flying from BTC over into altcoins. And because those are less liquid, they can go up a lot. So those percent of cash that you have, you can then use for altcoin opportunities. The dip just happened from 48,600 to 4,700. Get in. So let's switch back to the 5 minutes candles. Yeah, could be that this is a dip and it turns from here. Let's see. The volume is a little bit less, but it's still a lot higher than before the ETF started trading. Can we all buy some celebratory Bitcoin? Exactly. Let's pump up the price. I don't know actually if there is any tracking of the volumes. Here. This guy is very useful to follow. Eric Balchunas, senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg. He's the guy that everyone's quoting about the ETFs leading up to this. Only 20 minutes into trading, and the volume is big, with $500 million traded for the group XGBTC2, outpacing. Wow, that's a lot. So what do we see here, actually? Can you read this, guys? Yeah, you probably can. Assets, volume. So here we see volume in millions of dollars. ARK Invest. IBIT looks to be the biggest by enormous margin. Is this correct? So IBIT 292 million, FBTC 155. ARK Invest 26, so total $505 million. GBTC here was 279. And this was what? This was half an hour ago after 20 minutes of trading. Wow. This guy writes ETFs crossed 1.2 trillion in trading volume in the first 30 minutes. GBTC. iShares 388. So clearly iShares is by far the biggest one. This is the original Bitcoin rainbow chart I posted the very first time prior to the bull run. But Eric, you did add one color, didn't you? Now we removed it again, perhaps. When it dropped actually outside here. All right. I have a few more questions. Do you know if European banks are going to sell ETFs, if they're going to sell the American ETFs? Actually, very interested in that question too. I don't know. Let's see. Let's take some more questions. Can we still participate in your tools? Do you accept new clients? Yes, you can. I have paused it a couple of times, but it is open up. I don't want to market anything here, but I will say that watch out for the scammers, guys. I have only one website. It's ctolarsson.com. Here is Course and Indicator. Here's the Pro Tool. If someone DMs you with some other source for this is a scam, you're not going to get anything. And they will trick you on your money. So go here to this website yourself. And you can also email me using the contact information there. So, did you guys see that? Yeah, hopefully I remember to switch. Okay, let's take a few more questions. 5 minutes left. Europe embraced ETF so many years later. Yeah, absolutely. So, as mentioned, there are a lot of ETFs already, and I maybe lost that one here. But they have higher fees and are less liquid. So, of course, it would be interesting to get access to these very liquid, very low fee products also for people outside the US. And I actually don't know how that will be. I'm very interested if someone knows that. Otherwise, we will find out together. I went to buy the ARK in the ARKB ETF on Fidelity today, and my retirement account said it wasn't available for my account. Let down. I could be that they just haven't gotten the tickers up, perhaps. Very interesting. We did not see anything. You switch screen nicely. That is weird. I hope, guys, you can see when I switch the screen. Now it's showing a Twitter there. Now I'm switching back to the chart. Hope you can see that. IBIT was the only one available at market open. Okay. But there was volume on the other ones there in that statistic. Okay, and this one backing up a little bit here. All right. No, there is price higher. I just didn't see it. Sorry. Oops. There is price here. It's just hard to see it. Okay. Yeah, they are trading. Great. Are you for Bitcoin miners or crypto only? At this point, I don't hold any Bitcoin miners, but it is definitely interesting. And it's actually a subject because I said I have some thoughts about Bitcoin as a technology, but that's for another video. We just simply can't cover it today in a good way. So I might be more interested in Bitcoin miners, actually. GBTC is the captain now. Yeah. Yeah, how is it going actually with the GBTC discount? How does that look? Oh, wow. Hope you guys can see this. If we zoom it in a little bit. So this is the GBTC discount. Maybe you guys remember the history here that Grayscale was one of the first ways to get exposure to Bitcoin through the traditional financial system. And a lot of people were doing that. This is 2019, 2020. So they were willing to pay more for the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shares than the equivalent amount of Bitcoin that they held. Then when the market started turning down, that went the other way. So because these guys couldn't sell their Bitcoin, there was no way to kind of keep the share price equal to the value of the underlying assets, which was Bitcoin. So at the bottom of 2022, that was almost 50%. So even though they had Bitcoin worth $100, the value of the shares that had the right to those Bitcoin was only $50 then. Now that has turned into basically no discount at all. So that's amazing. And then the big question is, how does Ethereum look like? It's minus 11%. This one was down as low as almost 60%, right? 56% mid 2023. That is 11%. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, should we take one more question? the ETFs are trading now means they have already purchased the BTC required for trading. So things are going to be pretty boring for a few days, maybe. What do you think, Lars? Yeah, I absolutely, this is exactly, while I wasn't really sure of how much they have stocked up in advance and so on, or how that works, but I definitely feel that there is a possibility that after today, after maybe a couple of more days of excitement, some initial buying, this one might spike up, and then there could come like a now what feeling before all these institutions are actually ready to put in big money, because maybe it takes time. And then that could be a period of now what and price backing up before turning around again. Or it might not happen. But regardless, I'm going to act on those two actions, on those two scenarios. Those are my two main scenarios. I don't have as a main scenario that the whole rally is over and that just looks like this. I don't have that as a main scenario. But I am a reactive person, so if I'm proven wrong by the chart, I will change my mind. But I do have those two main scenarios. Now what feeling in a couple of days or weeks before any big volume comes in, price backing up, that could be a great opportunity, or price just continues in an orderly way higher up. Let's take one last question. There's some good questions here. I just want to be a little careful what I cover. These institutions bought at 17,000 and now offloading. I don't think they did because they were not following our YouTube channel. Or maybe they were. Who knows? Ethereum I covered earlier. After the video, you can back up, then you can watch that. Okay, according to EU law, there must be at least... right. Holger, now I can't find the comment anymore, but Ngop noted that we actually have an answer to one thing here, that the European ETPs cannot copy the same setup as the US. There must be at least 5 different assets bundled in an ETF. In the US, single asset ETFs are possible, obviously. Okay, that I've actually heard, but I wasn't sure how it applied. So thanks for sharing that. Last question. Take one more question. Could you check SUI? Of course. We take that as last question. SUI, we have it. I have it somewhere here. Let's just add it on this red list again. So, very simple. You see the advantages here of a trend following approach. You can often avoid quite big drawdown, get in on the uptrend, and because in technology in general and crypto in total, usually the moves up are so big that this somehow works. And yeah, looks good. The trend is up, and this parabola, which is really forming a base here, is far from being broken. So congratulations if you're in that camp. Looking great. All right, so let's go back to some of the charts here. 1 minute. iShares dropping back a little bit, but at high levels. And it's been up then. I actually don't know how they calculated this increase from yesterday. So I'm actually not sure about that. Bitcoin is up 2% on the day, backed up a little bit on the 1 minute chart. but we're not trending Bitcoin on the 1 minute chart. We trend it on the daily, where it is a solid gold, and it will be very interesting to see what happens from here. And thanks, guys, for joining on a rare exception live stream, and happy times. Thank you, Tuck. I'm gonna head home soon and take some rest. Thank you, Tuck.